Vince Gilligan is proud of Breaking Bad. He should be. It's one of the greatest television shows ever made. Walter White is one of the most compelling characters ever written. And yet, something has been bothering Vince. At a recent awards ceremony, he delivered a speech that felt almost like a confession. Not that Breaking Bad was a mistake, but that Hollywood has, for decades, been telling the wrong kind of stories. Stories that make villains too alluring, too cool. Stories that take men like Walter White, characters designed to be warnings, and turn them into something admirable. Gilligan believes this has done real harm, and now he's proposing something radical. At the Patty Chayefsky Laurel Award for Television Writing Achievement, Gilligan took the stage and issued a challenge. Quote, "As a writer, speaking to a room full of writers, I have a proposal. It certainly won't fix everything, but it's needed to start. I say we write more good guys." Write more good guys. It's true that Hollywood still produces unambiguously heroic figures. The Marvel films, for all their flaws, center on characters who strive to do the right thing. Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt and Pete Maverick Mitchell are nothing if not noble. Yet there is something about the modern storytelling landscape that makes Gilligan's suggestion feel almost subversive. For years, Hollywood has remained enamored of the morally gray antihero. Walter White, Tony Soprano, Don Draper, basically the entire cast of Succession. Protagonists who, by any conventional measure, are villains. They're complex, they're compelling, they're lucrative. And therein, Gilligan says, lies the problem. Hollywood has long been training audiences to love their villains. It's not just that these characters are fascinating, it's that they're often the most charismatic, stylish, and powerful figures in their stories. Gilligan explains, quote, "For decades, we made the villains too sexy. I really think that. When we create characters as indelible as Michael Corleone or Hannibal Lecter or Darth Vader or Tony Soprano, viewers everywhere, all around the world, they pay attention. They say, man, those dudes are badass. I want to be that cool." When that happens, fictional bad guys stop being the cautionary tale that they were created to be. God help us, they become aspirational. Unquote. This is not a new problem. Think back to The Godfather. The film was a meditation on corruption, on how power erodes morality. But for many viewers, Michael Corleone wasn't a warning, he was a model. The same thing happened with Scarface. Tony Montana was supposed to represent excess and self-destruction, yet his image was plastered on dorm room posters as if he were a success story. And then there's Walter White. From the very beginning, Breaking Bad was about watching a man's soul corrode. The showrunners made that clear. They thought it would be obvious. And yet, millions of fans saw Walter White as an icon. Gilligan has noticed this, and it troubles him. In an interview with Variety, he admitted, quote, "The closer I get to mortality, I think, as much as I'm proud of Walter White, is that the thing you want first on your tombstone?" Unquote. But this isn't just about Breaking Bad. It's about a much larger question. What kinds of stories do we tell? And what happens when we stop making heroes altogether? Gilligan is calling for a shift. Write more good guys. It sounds simple, but Hollywood may not be willing to listen. There's an entrenched belief in the industry that audiences find virtue boring, that moral clarity is childish, that complexity requires darkness. And to be honest, antiheroes sell. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a mainstream hero who was just good? No deep moral flaws or doubts, no edgy cynicism, just someone trying to do what's right because it's right. It wasn't always this way. There was a time when Hollywood gave us characters who were virtuous, not naive, not perfect, but genuinely good-hearted. Could those kind of heroes make a comeback? There is, perhaps, a sign of change. James Gunn, whose Superman comes out this summer, has been vocal about bringing back a different kind of hero. He recently said, quote, "The basic kindness of human beings is at the heart of this Superman. He's not cynical. He's not an anti-hero. He's a symbol of hope." Unquote. A hero. A real hero. No dark backstory, no questionable morality, just a man who believes in doing the right thing. Could this be the start of a shift? This is not just an artistic debate. Stories shape how we see the world and ourselves. If we keep glorifying Walter Whites and Tony Sopranos, if we keep making evil the most compelling force on screen, what does that say about us? Gilligan doesn't have all the answers, but he's issued a challenge. He's urging writers, producers, and audiences to rethink what we celebrate in our stories. Because the characters we idolize don't just reflect us, they shape us. Is Vince Gilligan right? Do we need more good heroes? Or is he blowing the problem out of proportion? Let me know in the comments.